Welcome to the DJ Insider Podcast, sponsored by Amplified Events.
It's the only podcast where we break down insider information from our weddings, experiences, and advice from over 15 years in the wedding industry.
We're your hosts. I'm Mike Kane, owner of Amplified Events.
And I'm Chris Zart, general manager of Amplified Events.
Let's get into it. Okay. Hello. So, I did a double header.
I just had one, but our whole team was pretty much out.
Yeah.
Which was kind of, I think, one of our first bigger weekends in a while.
First bigger weekend.
Just getting it going. Yeah.
Yeah, everything went well as far as I know. My Friday one was phenomenal. It was Sand Creek, beautiful. Mm-hmm. And just full floor all night. The couple was super cool. No, there was no technical problems, issues. Everything was just seamless. Great crowd. Super fun couple. One of the things I noticed, just that stuck out in my mind, was their staff at Sand Creek was so professional and so on it. Dinner went like that. Like they got everybody plated food so quickly.
Nice.
And I'm realizing the importance of that because that gave us more dance floor time.
Right.
Yeah, we had a good 4-hour dance set because of that. Like the couple had a little bit more time to get photos, to spend time with family. And if you book like a do-it-yourself kind of venue, or if you have a venue that's really not organized or on top of it food-wise, like that can really eat into your party.
Oh, yeah. And I would say anything that eats into taking away time from the day, it's only taking away time from the dance floor.
That's it.
That's the last thing. There's no scheduled event that's happening throughout the day anymore. But yeah, food is really important.
Yeah.
I've had weddings for sure where it's come out super late, or each table is getting fed very slowly. Another thing, which I don't know why most venues don't do this, but it's kind of funny of being a vendor, having food come to us first. We have to get to work right away.
Yeah,
So when venues feed their vendors first before anybody, that's great, because then I can eat really fast. Every photographer or videographer I've talked to is on the same page of just I just want to eat so I can get back up, take pictures during dinner, be ready for speeches, dance floor stuff like that. But yeah, no, that's really important to have a staff that's on top of it.
Yeah, and it frees you up to focus on the party and get back to work, get doing the things you need to do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it literally frees up time for the party and for the couple. The couple was able to spend more quality time with their loved ones. They were able to visit all the tables because they got their food quickly. I don't know what that venue charges, but it's worth it because it was, to me, the flow of it as a vendor was super easy, and the party was fantastic. It's a great layout for a great party at a venue. The next day, we were at Innsbruck Country Club, another fantastically run, catering department over there, and just the country club. The load-in was super easy. The party was just epic, full floor.
Nice.
The couple was super chill, super fun to work with. Just ragers, both of them. And it just reminds you what weddings can be, and everything's clicking and moving, and it's just absolutely gorgeous, both venues. And
when you're with a team that works well together.
Yeah.
That's where the magic really happens, when you have other vendors in a venue that stars align.
Yeah.
That's always great. That's why I always love when we've had other vendors on the podcast. Most of those people that have been on here, when we get to work with all of them at once in the same day, it's as soon as I show up to work, I'm just excited. I'm nothing to worry about. I know everyone's in good hands, stuff like that.
Yeah. You ever work with vendors? It's man.
That was my wedding this weekend, which was, it was really frustrating. I really liked the guy a lot, but this videographer kept delaying pretty much most major events of the day.
Oh my goodness.
I was kind of looking for a groom for a while. We got started with ceremony late. That was kind of other factors as well, but that was kind of frustrating. And then we had to get introductions going, but they were doing pictures during cocktail hour and photo and, video, stuff like that. And that delayed, reception by a good 15 minutes. And then right when we were about to start dance floor, he wanted to go out and get sunset photos. Mm-hmm. We're going to kick things off. And we had 15 minutes until we were going to start their first dance before the, open dance floor actually happened. And he's like, yeah, I'll just take them out really quick. They'll be back at 7:50 and get going. That didn't happen. It was 50 minutes or so.
Oh my gosh.
It was nearly, I think it was almost 8 o'clock. It was
supposed to be 15, ends up being 45 or whatever.
Later, yeah, it was 7:52 or 3.
Insane.
It was, and then at that point, a third of the people there left. They were just, bride and groom were gone.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of the rest of the night, and people just kind of trickled away, and it was just really frustrating of oh my
goodness.
Once we get to that point in the night, all the stuff that's happened has happened, you know, and it's like you got to give people a reason to stay, like good music or,
Yeah.
you know, so I was trying to start to play upbeat music to get people going a little bit, but like then I'd have to kill the dance floor to do first dance, you know,
Man.
and then bring it back again. So I you know, it was really frustrating, but just like, don't do that, please. Like we're working together. Like I'm, you know, my goal was I just wanted to get the dance floor kicked off. If we could have just gotten it done, we would have been going after that, and then they could go and do whatever. There's plenty of time. I just, you know, out of trust was like, okay, that's fine. I'll trust that it'll be 10 or 15 minutes, and it'll be much longer. So I don't know. That might be my mistake, but also I just like I trusted that was going to be the case, and
Took him at his word.
yeah, it wasn't. You know,
It
is what it
turns-
is, but
It's tough because obviously he's trying to do a good thing.
Yeah.
He's trying to get good footage at sunset of the couple. I really hope that footage is stellar and phenomenal.
I'm sure
I really
it's
do.
great. He was going above and beyond extra shots and everything. Like, and that could have been a more important part of the day for them was pictures and video more than music.
If that's their priority, fantastic. That's
Yeah.
great. Then they got what they wanted. To me, as a DJ, and I'm there to do my job, which is throw a great dance party, make sure the guests are, you know, engaged, having a good time, making memories, right? That's the ultimate thing. Celebrating this couple. Sometimes there's things that feels like I'm being sabotaged. Like the French saboteur, you know. It felt like that guy unintentionally sabotaged your dance floor, your party.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe
there was
that's not the
nothing
best
that he
way to
meant
say it.
To do, but I think he just got hyper fixated with his own work.
That's right. And then that had a consequence to the dance floor. And what happened was your plan to start first dance at 7:15, and then ideally open up the dance floor and start the party. You got a good another 40 minutes of dance floor. But instead, he shows back up at 7:52, and like you said, a big portion of the guests left because you're just doing background music. You can't open up the dance floor yet. I mean, and so people are like, well, I guess that's it. We're gonna go home.
Right.
And that happens a lot of times at weddings. What are some other, that's a really good topic. What are some other ways that the party or the DJs get sabotaged? The first one that comes to mind, which we talk about all the time, and it bears repeating, bad speeches. They kill the energy. They literally cause guests to be like, I'm not in a good mood now. I'm going home.
Especially if they're waiting, because you know, you have to think about, and I explained to a couple that I was talking to recently, this whole concept of, they were like, and I'm all on board with getting as much done before dinner as possible, but they're like, we want to do this, and this. And I'm like, you'll leave people waiting. And I'm like, I'm just going to time out how long this will take. I'm like, this is going to be 45 minutes. People are sitting down to get dinner started, and then they're going to be sitting for 45 minutes, and then they will get salads.
Yeah.
People are going to get really impatient.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
That energy will get worse and worse and worse throughout the night until we get to dance floor. Got to get people fed, got to get things moving. And yeah, like speeches can take a really long time. When you say bad, I'm usually thinking overly long. That is most.
Yes.
I have seen bad that have still been short.
Yeah.
But are just
sometimes, catering can maybe unintentionally sabotage where it's like it just takes forever to get food. So everyone is hungry and starving and getting hangry.
Yep.
I see this all the time at weddings. Long bar lines. They don't have adequate staff, or there's like very specialty cocktails. Again, I don't always know the situation, so I don't want to assume anything bad about specific, but I've definitely been at venues where they are clicking. They can just get drinks out quickly.
Yep.
And then I've been at venues where it's like it takes 15 minutes to get one person one drink, and there's a line of 200 people backed up onto my dance floor, into my DJ stuff.
I literally had a perfect example of this happen recently. It was like when I was in Chicago a few weeks ago. They had a bar that was set up right outside the reception space. It was kind of halfway between, like, cocktail was in a separate room, reception dinner was in one room, and then there was this like middle room that was between the two. They had one bar that was there, and then they had one, but it was basically like right behind me. That's what, like, my DJ setup was there. I had a door behind me. The doors were open, bars there. And then they had another bar on the other side of the dance floor in the corner of the room. So it was like people like could get in line there, and they had two bartenders there at like one bar. And then like if they could, you know, step out of the way, they weren't congesting in an area, and there was never a long line because everyone had these like access points. It was perfect. Like everyone got drinks fast.
They've thought it through.
And they were doing like really good specialty cocktails, like hand making them.
It's
like,
always possible to do it right, you know.
and they were doing it fast. So it's possible. You know?
We've seen what it could be. You know, you see enough of these things. We know when weddings are going well, there's good flow, and when weddings are struggling, because there's not good flow, either like an overly complicated, detailed timeline that it just bogs everything down. It slows everything, push everything back.
Yes.
Or yeah, just honestly, a long drink line.
Well, that was, and then
Nobody's dancing because they're all in line to get their drinks. Nobody's drunk enough.
following week, it was cocktail hour, and I saw like there was one gigantic line that formed, and they had me like move the line because it was like getting in the way of staff and everything. So I had to like make an announcement of like go along this wall. Like it's really funny. There was one guy in line at the beginning of cocktail hour, like at the end, and it wasn't until cocktail hour ended.
Oh my gosh!
Like 10 minutes.
He finally got a drink.
He got to his drink. Yeah. So I was kind of like, whoa, this is. And a few people got in at seconds, and I was trying to do introductions, and they were like, I didn't really blame them because everyone was like, I
still
never
in line.
Got a drink.
That's
I literally never got a
I
drink.
just want a drink. Yeah.
So I just let them stay. I didn't even like bother.
But that's a big thing. You're trying to get guests seated. Sometimes bridal parties, they hit the booze hard before the wedding, getting ready, just after the
I've had them
ceremony.
in line during introductions, doing shots. Yeah.
But sometimes bridal parties can take a while to line up and to corral. They show up on the drunk bus or whatever.
Especially if it's a big one.
Yes. And you got to like, oh my gosh, it's like herding cattle to like get them all organized. And
Yes.
weather, obviously. I mean, I've had literally the weather was too hot and it like kind of melted my phone. So I couldn't play a recessional song. Sabotage,
Too hot is always a problem.
Too hot, and then guests leave. It's too hot. They're tired.
Kind of
They're
cold.
sitting out there.
Never been a problem, really.
Yeah, if it's very cold and you're kind of an outdoorsy.
I don't mean frigid
Yeah.
outdoors. I just mean like it's chilly.
Cooler.
In this
Yeah, you
room.
can always put on. Yeah.
But when you get moving too, it's kind of nice to have that. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Poor lighting. I mean, too much lighting.
Too much lighting. Way too bright.
In a venue where I just can't get the lights down, and you feel so seen. We've talked about that before. You really feel
it's gymnasium.
exposed.
Everyone's just watching you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got to have that like club feel. Just lights are low.
Yeah.
When you're on, because most dance floors, it's a big open space.
Yes.
Usually in the middle of the room. People don't want to be seen. No one wants to be the first one on the dance floor.
It's got to feel cozy and full.
Yeah.
And it's got to feel like you can blend. If you're feeling watched, not good.
Yeah.
I see that sometimes with lighting for, of course, the venues, but sometimes video or photo will have very, very bright lights where they're overexposed. And people feel like it's like they're rushing up to get a inside, paparazzi interview.
Really
and I'm like,
intense.
I'm just trying to dance and have a good time. And you've got this bright light in my face.
And I've seen videographers that like have
Can
done
do-
it right.
Do low lighting.
I've
Yeah.
seen people that have done like the crazy spotlights that are really bright, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then I've like, Mason, I just literally worked with her, and she has these like panel lights.
Yes.
That they're kind of like a warmer.
You can
color,
adjust, yes, the
and
temperature.
They're not that bright. Like they're bright enough to fill in the space, and then she can crank up her, ISO on the camera.
That's
like,
it.
It's fine. But it's not like,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, you're not feeling, again, it's like a reporter rushing in to get the politician
I do
exiting
get
to
it.
their
Like
vehicle.
you got to get your footage during that time.
Of course.
And luckily, I feel like most of the time it's only like a half hour or so of that.
Yeah.
But it is pretty intense.
Yeah, but have had that where it was like they scared people from dancing away because they just felt watched.
Right.
We had a guy, he had a giant tripod on wheels, and he was just rolling it around. This huge thing,
It's about
monstrosity.
how you film too. Like
Yeah.
talking with other videographers, it's like the best ones, they don't really look like they're doing a lot sometimes. It's
Yeah.
literally like a guy who like just has a camera down here and he's just like a moment's happening and you don't even know you're being filmed. You know?
Yeah.
But you don't want the people aren't actors. They're not used to having a camera in their face.
Yeah.
Everybody feels awkward if they're not used to that, So yeah, that's always a problem. It's just the
What are other ways? Sabotages.
you flip it around too. What
ways do
that,
DJ? I mean, getting
vendors
started. Getting started with
venues-
announcements are an important thing without making sure that photo, video, the catering, that everyone's ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a big one. Telling the crowd, oh, yeah, we're doing our first dance, and they're out there dancing, and then photos in the other room or something.
I honestly, I've annoyed so many photographers and video by telling them,
Hey, 5 minutes, checking
everything that's
in.
going on,
Yeah.
and I don't care honestly at this point because there has been, I think it was honestly just one time, and this photographer, after I just said one thing one time, I was like, hey, by the way, for introductions, and I was gonna ask where do you want them coming in from?
Yeah.
And then he was like, I don't care. He's like, it's fine. I have the same timeline. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to keep me updated. I'm like, okay. So I did not keep them updated the rest of the night, and they missed multiple moments. And they're like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, you literally asked me to not talk to you. You said that you got it. And that's the funny thing, too, is we get the same timeline.
Yeah.
This is always the funny thing of
Sometimes we do.
Do
Sometimes
you
you have
not
to.
know that at First Dance is at this time? Because like we should have the same information here. Yeah, I should say most of the time.
Yeah, I was like, that's a good sabotage. Sometimes the couple, for whatever reason, give the venue a timeline, give us a different timeline, and give
Right.
their photo a different timeline in their video.
We all
And
gotta
not
have the same
everybody's
stuff.
not everybody's synced up. The best venues organize all that, or the best planners organize all that. So it's one timeline that everybody gets.
When I get an email and it's like, and they're like, hey, every vendor
Yes.
is working together, and then they
Group
share
text.
all of our own contact information. So
Yeah.
if I wanted to, I could literally contact the photographer, officiant, anybody who I'm working with.
Yeah.
I love that.
A
Yeah.
lot of venues too are now doing walkthroughs with the team, with the couple. That helps a lot too. I mean, it's extra work, it's extra time, but it obviously day of it equals a lot extra, less stress and
Right.
more better flow. Man, what else? Definitely when they have to flip a room, that can delay things if they don't have good team to tear down chairs, move tables.
Yeah.
I've had, I love my florists, I love my decor people, but sometimes they have a big job and they don't have enough time to get in, and so that can there's literally still decorating as guests are coming in, and I've never had it where it interrupted a dance floor, but that can definitely. I've had it back when I used a DJ table. I've definitely had it where they had, it was just on our table. I couldn't set up. I was waiting for them to get their stuff off the
Not
DJ
even just
table.
them, but I kinda,
Everybody, yeah.
There's times I just show up to set up, and when we used to have a table,
Yeah.
people would just put like whatever on there, like gift
It's-
basket.
it's an open
whatever.
table. Yeah,
Just
yeah.
envelopes, like whatever's there. And
Yeah.
I'm like, are you guys using this? Yeah, yeah. Not getting set up near the dance floor, getting set up in like a corner of a room.
For sure.
That's really bad.
Yeah, layout wise. Yeah, I've had that.
When we're like blasting music for cocktail hour and dinner music into people's
too
ears
loud,
to
yeah.
get it across the room,
Yeah, if they put tables between us and the dance floor, that's not always possible, but you'll want to avoid that typically because they're going to get blasted. People complain. I've had people touch my speakers, turn them off, move them.
I had an old lady come up to me recently and she said, "You're not going to be playing music during dinner, are you?" And I was like, "Unfortunately, yes, we will be." She's just like, "I just can't hear a thing. I have not been able to have a single conversation." And it was like, I went over to this is at Walden. I went over to the
Yeah.
cocktail hour space and I was like, I checked it like 3 times. I'm like, and I was like, but I'll check one more time. I
Yeah.
walk over and it's like pretty quiet. Like
Yeah.
I honestly could have had it a
You
little
could
bit
easily
louder.
have a conversation. Yeah.
It was totally fine.
Yeah.
But
I always cut the low end. I take, so it's not booming.
well, it's funny.
I always
she-
turn it down
she
for dinner.
Came up too. Yeah, I do a little low end, so it's not
Yeah.
as bassy. But I didn't know if she was being sarcastic. But she came up after. She's like, "Thank you so much for not playing music."
Oh, she must just didn't hear it.
I was
It was
like,
just very
I-
low. Yeah.
I was playing it. So.
That's
and I
hilarious.
think it was actually louder this time.
Yeah.
than cocktail hour.
I mean, guests making song requests is a big one, especially when they try to take over,
Right.
where they're like, oh, this song, then this song, and then this song.
I love when it is a great feeling though when you have that one guest, or it's like a group of a few friends, and you guys are just on the same page.
Yes.
And when they start coming up, and they're like this song, and you have it queued up, and you're like, look.
Yeah.
You've read my mind. Like that's a great feeling.
Oh, I love that.
I love the collaboration when we're all on the same wavelength. Like, yeah, that's a good time.
I had that happened on Friday. The groom came up and I was literally mixing in hotel room and he's coming up. He's like, I was come up to request that. And I was
Nice.
like, there we go. Dun, 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 dun.
We all have the same idea.
Yes. I had that one time with the groom like 5 times. He came up to request something and I was literally mixing it in. I was like, get out of my head. Like you're a
Right.
DJ now,
You want a job?
Yeah.
I've made that joke to people before when they're like too on it.
They're so good. They know what they're doing. They read the room really well.
I think sometimes because when I'm playing a song that's at a certain BPM, I'm listening to it and I'm like, and then I just know because I played a lot of the same music that I'm like, I know this song will mix with this one, but you kind of hear it in your head because you're at this pace and you're hearing this beat and then you start to hear another song.
Yeah.
I think, we're trying to do that, but some people just like accidentally do it, just like subconsciously. I think that when they're dancing, they're like, oh, do you know what also is a good song?
Yeah.
That kind of goes like this and feels like this. And it's like they just make that connection. I think some people are just better at it than others.
Yeah, their brain is in tune with the rhythm of the music, and it's been in tune with other, and they remember Oh, yeah, it's a natural rhythm that you can feel. It's an interesting topic. I'd love to have other vendors on, and just especially catering, bartender. A lot of people who we get a lot of flack because they delay things, but just to hear their side of things.
I want to hear about
All the
hear
DJ
about us. Like
Yeah, the
'cause-
DJ horror stories that all the ways DJs have ruined weddings or sabotage everyone else. Definitely, I think we don't have this problem because we don't have huge setups, but some DJs have just way too much equipment. And to me, it looks gaudy and bad, and they take forever. They got trusses and TVs and sparkler cannons and, just insane amount of stuff that ruins the aesthetic of the venue.
Yes.
That takes forever to set up, and that they are like literally damaging or destroying decor or floral while they're setting up,
I feel like how we like built our company was a lot of just like what not to do. Like it was just so easy to look at what other companies were doing that was obviously bad. And the thing is,
and that we're mobile DJs. We try to keep our setup lightweight and mobile. It can all fit in a 4-door car.
I think the hard thing is, and this is why we have a lot of like, bad DJs or whatever, is, make that initial investment. You don't want to make it again to upgrade your stuff. It's 2005 and you're like, I got my CDs and I got everything I need. And then it's like, you put thousands of dollars into it, but then technology changes, everything's obsolete.
Yeah.
And then you're now looking like the unprofessional and you have to drop all that money again.
I've got 20 crates of records I got to huff in here.
And then it's not worth anything at that point,
Yeah.
You can't like resell it or anything like that. So
becomes obsolete really quickly, unfortunately.
that is kind of a thing. I think it's less of a problem for us, and I don't know. I feel like so many photographers are just such gearheads. Like I'm like, do you really need that lens? Like that's pretty much all of them. But just like I get it. Like I love cameras too. I would buy as much as I could if I just kept making that money to feed into my work and everything. But like,
got a technology equipment addiction.
Yep.
You got to do weddings to support the addiction.
I feel like most of the stuff we keep buying is to make our job just easier and also
I think so.
sleeker and
quicker,
better,
faster, cleaner, and better quality.
But yeah, some people can just go for like the what's cool,
Yeah.
and that's not like what people are looking for. And I think that's like all vendors, but definitely DJs. Like I just had a call that they were asking just for if we had the Dance on the Clouds, like the fog machine.
Oh
thing.
yeah, we don't do that.
And I'm like, no, we don't do that. But are you looking for a DJ? Like, no, we already have a DJ. We're just looking for that exact service.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, okay.
Definitely not gonna. If you're a DJ company, you should not do that. Not rent stuff. Just that. It's a good way to lose money. Yeah. And you're sacrificing a person to go out and do that all day.
Right.
It's like, no, generally you want to design your company where your main thing is DJing. And there's a couple of add-ons or enhancements that you're providing. But definitely you're not a rentals company. That's going to dilute your brand. Why would you book us to DJ your wedding when you just rent a speaker from us?
Right.
Why would we?
I think the focus.
And that's a good way to get your equipment damaged or lost or stolen.
Right.
And then you're dedicating a person to go out and set up and tear down, or just to watch the equipment.
Yes.
I hope that's a different company. There's rental companies who are fantastic, but it's mostly like decors, backdrops, chandeliers, that kind of thing, chairs. But yeah, you don't want to get into sound, and audiovisual rentals, unless that's what. I guess that's
that is
what
a
you
whole
want.
business by itself.
But you should do that. There are companies that do that.
Don't do both, I would say.
100%. One or the other. It's like if a band was like, you can hire our band, or we could just give you the CD and you can plug it in. You can just press play. It was like, well, yeah. Why wouldn't I just play?
Yep. Sounds like
why would I pay you $5 to $10,000 to come and perform live?
Yep.
Versus just look you up on Spotify and press play on a playlist in the using the house system here. Well, because there's a very different in the quality outcome, and we laugh, but people do that.
Yeah.
People do that for their weddings. They're like, oh, well, I'll just plug in, I'll save the money, and
that was literally my dad and stepmom got married like 10 plus years ago. We literally just like iPod on a speaker, like in a room. And like the speaker was like this big for like a room of like 80 people. It was pretty funny.
And if they want that and that's important to them, they'll have that. And there'll be a spicy consequence. There's always a trade-off,
Oh, and that was, so actually, that was technically, I think, my first wedding I ever went to. I was probably like 12 or 13.
Is that the one with you in the suit and you look kind of sad?
No.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I have a picture of you in a suit and you look sad. You're young.
That was my cousin's wedding. I was just tired. And,
okay.
But like, yeah, my uncle loves that picture so much.
For your bachelor party, I just found a bunch of like old embarrassing photos of you and I put them on that slideshow.
And that's Zach's dad that took that photo.
Oh, okay.
Too.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's just, you're like,
so because he is a photographer. He's like a really talented photographer. And he just like took it in. He has like a print of it somewhere, like in black and white. I think he had it printed out eventually at one point. But but a little later, like tiny speaker for the dance floor. And it, like my dad didn't bring the charger for it or whatever.
Oh no!
It was like on battery and it died.
Oh,
and we had like another speaker at home or the charger or something like that. So it was like winter and I'm in this full rented like tux, and I go over like with Zach and we're like, okay, let's walk over to my house because it was at Aberdeen.
Oh,
It
okay.
was
Right
at,
next door. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were just like, let's just walk over. I like walk, grab the speaker. I'm coming back. It's like all ice on the ground, like on the road. I totally eat it and just like gash my knee open.
Oh my
And like
gosh.
rip my tux. And it's like a rental too. And I show up and I'm like bleeding. And my dad's like, and everyone's there like waiting and like just has been drinking and like waiting for music to come back. And I'm like, okay, I got the speaker, but I like fell on my freaking knee. So
Man.
yeah, consequence.
Your dad should have
Consequence.
hired you. We were 9 or 11. How old were you when this?
Probably like 11 or 12. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Dad
Yeah.
should have hired you to DJ.
Yeah, that could have been the beginning of the career.
Good times. Well, yeah, I don't have too much else. I got more. We'll, of course, go over more next week, more adventures and escapades.
Got a double this weekend. How many weddings do you have?
I'm doing the Porter Fire Department. I'm doing their fireman's ball on Saturday. And on Sunday, I got a wedding at the Expo Center,
Nice.
which will be interesting. The bride's family is Colombian and the groom's family, I think, are American, Irish, maybe. I don't know. But it should be fun.
Nice.
Be a good one. What about yourself?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. I think I'm at sorry, I'm really forgetting. Just did so many calls lately. I think I'm at Journeyman and then at
Lure in the Lake, right?
Lure on the Lake, yeah, on Sunday.
Cool.
So, no, Palais Royale on Saturday.
Palais Royale
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Saturday.
And
okay.
then Allure on Sunday. So that'll be fun.
Fun.
Yeah.
Good
All right.
times. Cool. Well, guys, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. This is the DJ Answer Podcast. I'm Mike.
I'm Chris.
We'll see you on the dance floor.